Welcome, everyone, to Squid and Ultimate Leaf Fan Show. I'm Mike Wilson, the Ultimate Leafs fan. Joining me as always, my winger, Ricky Squid Vibe. Squid, all is not too leafy in Leafland these days. What's going on in your view?
Well, I mean, you got a hockey team that's just not playing that well right now, Mike. They're being outplayed. Uh, they're losing puck battles, or they're not getting to the puck first. They're not getting in on the forecheck. The defense. I mean, guys that are usually very, very responsible defensively, and Brody and Muzzin and guys like that are not playing very well defensively, and that the whole when you put it all together, the power play not going. I mean, that spells disaster, really, when you look at the big picture.
Well, Mitch Marner has become the lightning rod once again for all the media, social media, anywhere that you can print anything about him. We spoke about this a few times throughout the summer that the Heat will be on him and some of the other big names like Matthews and that they've never ever experienced before. And it's going to be basically that attitude that, yeah, it's great now, but come April, talk to me then. It's
Well, Mitch Marner is under a lot of pressure right now, and I can tell you from experience and from looking at him and looking at his expressions and so on the bench. And I know he says he doesn't need to change anything, that everything's okay, he doesn't feel the pressure. But I can tell you right now, he is feeling the pressure big time. And that's why he's not performing the way he's capable of performing. And excuse me, we've seen it for quite a few years now, how well he can play and how he can control a game almost by himself. And that's not happening. He's feeling the pressure big time. And, unless they get this thing turned around, they got, in Chicago tonight, Detroit at home on the weekend. These are two big games. If they lose these two games or only get 1 point out of the four or something like that, then there's going to be a hell of a lot more pressure heaped on him and everybody else.
oh boy, is the river. It goes without saying it's affecting his game. He's squeezing his stick. When he does touch it, he's
Mm-hmm.
handling it like a grenade. He's tentative. All signs of lacking in confidence. I mean, everyone can see this. So I'm not asking. I'm telling out there. I'm asking and does not telling. Can someone please explain to me what good beating on this kid on a daily basis is serving any purpose except sending him closer to the door, a la Larry Murphy and 2 Stanley Cups later? And in case the media guys weren't listening last week, I'm surprised at you guys not listening to us. We, Leafs Nation, I'm going to say it again. We, Leafs Nation, the Leafs, Marner, and everybody in hockey, they can even go to Cap Friendly. They know how much he makes. You don't have to
Yeah.
print it daily. Be creative.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. And, I don't think anybody's salary should dictate. I mean, obviously it does. There's no question. I mean, when you put up numbers the way Mitch has, and then you sign a contract for almost $11 million, and you don't put up those numbers, I mean, there's going to be scrutiny. There's no question about that. I mean, it goes with every player, and it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, they're public what they make, and that in itself sucks for the players. It helps the players because when it comes time to negotiate their contracts, they can compare themselves to other players in the league and what they're making and probably make a little bit more money. But in a sense like this, the press gets a hold of what they're making and they just make a big deal of it when, hey, you know what? They're making that kind of money for a reason because
Exactly right.
they've put up big numbers so far. Again, it's not doing the players, Mitch Marner or any of the other players, any good for the media and people on social media to get all over them because all it does is it makes them tentative the way they're playing, and you can see it in Mitch's game. And I feel bad for him that he has to go through this, but I can guarantee you he is feeling the pressure. I've been there, and I know.
Well, let here's another thing. He didn't forget how to play hockey between April and October. Like he's
Yeah.
played the game solid. He knows how to play it. What people fail to understand, I think, and we as fans only see the finished product. We aren't privy to what goes on behind closed doors. Players deal with everyday
Hmm.
occurrences just like everybody else. Maybe fighting with his wife, his girlfriend, or both. A problem with an investment, kids' problems,
I don't know if I'd go there, Mike, but anyway.
kids' problems, house issues, fighting with a teammate. Maybe the coach is pissed at him. All these type of things can hinder a player's performance. You saw it firsthand. You lived it firsthand.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I don't think people understand that players are human beings and they have lives, they have families for the most part, not all of them, and they have to deal with daily things on a daily basis in life that aren't connected to hockey. And it's not easy to go out and perform every single game to the best of your ability when you got something in the back of your mind that's going on at home or whatever the case might be. So it's unfortunate because the press just do not, and people on social media do not realize that these people are human beings and they live regular lives aside from playing hockey. Yes, they make a lot of money. Should they be performing? Yes, I agree. But sometimes there's things behind the scenes that they don't know about.
Well, speaking of, and we are just touching on creativity a second, let's take it a little step further. A story this week breaks whether John Tavares is the right man to be captain. Now, as a former captain yourself, you were dealing with this type of nonsense on a regular basis, I'm sure, and all you guys have gone through it. What's your view? And maybe explain to the listeners the role a captain really plays.
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just, I mean, it's not raw, get up and in the room and big speeches and all that. I mean, it's like, okay, an example would be like a Mitch Marner right now. He's going through a tough time. Maybe Johnny takes him out for lunch somewhere on the road, hopefully, so no one sees them together. And then they start speculating about something else that's going on,
Yeah.
which they probably would, and you have a quiet lunch with them and talk to them about what's going on and are you okay? Is there anything I can do to help and that sort of thing and that's what you do. That's about all you can do to help the player because raw speeches, in my estimation, do not really help. And so I think quietly sitting down with the individuals that are going through a little bit of a tough time, and trust me, I think Johnny's a perfect guy to be the captain on this hockey club. Uh, Nobody works as hard as him in practice, in games, and yeah, he's not producing either. So I mean, it's tough on him right now too, with the team losing and everything else. But I don't think there's any question that he should be the captain. And I mean that's the only thing I did. The odd time, maybe 3, 4 times the whole entire season he would stand up and say something to the entire team and be vocal. But other than that, it was quietly going behind the scenes and trying to talk to the guys that are struggling a little bit and see what's going through their mind and maybe try to put them a little bit at ease so that they go out and relax and play the game that they're capable of playing.
Well, I mean that's said perfectly, I think. And you can lead by leadership, but through the direct play in the ice and the way you carry yourself as a
Hmm.
pro every day and the way you deal with these. And I think that Tavares is that to a T. So while we're on the topic of leadership and behind closed doors, let's take a different twist on that narrative. Now we've watched unfold this week in Canada, and you're not going to go with this, I'm sure. The Canadian version of the popular HBO show Succession, loosely based on the disgraced billionaire Robert Murdoch's infighting family. Only we're substituting that with the Rogers family, taking center stage over Family Feud. Maybe we need Jerry D to moderate this one at some point. But anyway, Edward Rogers is front and center in all of this. Now, we must give him his kudos because he earned his position the old fashioned way. He inherited it. Now, be that as it may, the root of this runs deep into Toronto sports, and this is where I'm going with this, as they have ownership in every major team in the city. Information coming out, and we've heard
Hmm.
rumblings of this in the past. He vetoed several moves or tried to block moves like the Mike Babcock signing. Maybe he was right on that one. Re-upping Masai Ujiri. He ousted Blue Jay chairman Paul Beeston, replacing him midseason with Mark Shapiro. That led to the departure of Alex Anthopoulos. And for those not paying attention, he is this moment right now is 3 wins from winning the World Series with the Atlanta Braves.
Mm-hmm.
The point being, players come and go. Ownership is here for good. These bumbling, incompetent ways concern me more than Marner's slump, to be quite frank with you, because you experienced it with Harold Ballard, and decisions upper management makes can cripple the whole organization for years. And these are the type of things is where it starts. If you're going to start pointing fingers, again, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors in some of these board meetings and some of these decisions being made, and they're handicapping these guys. And you lived it well within all that craziness in the 80s.
Well, I got to tell you, Mike, it's pretty crazy. It's again, we've likened it to a circus. Barnum and Bailey, and he's a ringleader and that sort of thing. And now we see it's going on again with a company that owns a good portion of the Maple Leafs and all MLSE entities and that sort of thing, as well as the Blue Jays. And I got to tell you, when things like that at the top are going on like they are, especially I know what it was like when I was there and when Harold was, going through all the circus acts and everything, and putting the Tiger Cats on the boards and the jacket with half the Tiger Cats, half Maple Leafs and that sort of thing. I mean, it was very difficult to concentrate and to go out every night and think about what your job was on a daily basis, because you saw this stuff going on all around you, and it was tenfold by the press, which is what's going on now. And the players, trust me, the players are well aware of what's going on above them too. And when things are not going good above you, then it probably leaks down, and psychologically it just you hear it and it's kind of like, oh boy, what the hell is going on? And I think that affects your play. I mean, because you're thinking about it and you're part of the organization that they have ownership in, and you're thinking to yourself, like, what the hell is going to happen? And there's no other way to look at it other than it's hard to just put that out of your mind and then go out and do your job.
Well, and same with
very difficult.
Well, same with the guy pulling the trigger above the players, who's got to go in and face these guys and get it approved. And he's got to be thinking, boy, if I'm wrong, I'm out of work. So, they're human too, and they're in there going to protect their jobs as well. And I know I've told you this story in the past that if it's been not to pick on Dave Nonis, but Dave Nonis, who was on a very loose contract, and 1 year to 1 year, 2016, when the ratings were going down, the new Rogers contract came in with the NHL. The Strombopoulos thing wasn't working on CBC. None of the Canadian teams in the playoffs. And there was pressure for the Leafs to do something. And imagine if that had been the old days and they lost that first overall pick and 34 wasn't on this team. So these are the type of things, the bumbling and stumbling and so on that went on. So, I just, as a sidebar story, I was going to throw out a friend of mine when he was a shareholder of Rogers, Ted Rogers, when he was around, used to take shareholders to a game every year. And, they would come in the Rogers box and they would see, he ended up sitting beside Ted at a game. And Ted didn't go to a lot of games. So anyway, the Jays had a runner on third and they had 2 out. And so the ball was hit the short and the ball was thrown to first. And so Ted started doing this. And he looked at my friend and he said to him, why didn't he give us a point there? Because the guy came in from third. He was thrown out at first. There's no run when there's 2 outs and throw out at third. He had no clue. We call it a point. That's the owner of the team. Now, to take it a step further, when I followed the Leafs in 2018, we were invited into the lounge, director's lounge, and I was talking to one of the people high up in the rankings, and he was introducing me a few people and said something about Mike's going to be following the Leafs for all 82 games. So I said, plus the playoffs. He goes, well, yeah, should that take it to how many did they have to win? I said 16. Well, this is one of the owners didn't know. Okay, so just keep all that in mind when we're talking about what's going on in this organization. Yeah. Sometimes when you start pointing the finger at Mitch Marner and you start picking on Kyle Dubas and so on. Now, next we're going to go cliche time. The overused word when things go bad today is that word adversity. What was the word you guys used as a cliche when you were like in the 80s?
There was a lot of different words you used, Mike.
We can't say that.
Especially by our coaches, and they weren't adversity, I can tell you that. Or there might have been a word in front of the adversity. But I mean, universally, that's adversity is used on a regular basis, and yes, it was used when we played. Like I said, most of my coaches put another word in front of that word when they used it. But yeah, I mean, right now they're facing adversity, and the only way to overcome that is to go out and play the way you're capable of playing and win a hockey game. And I'll be honest with you. I listened to Sheldon Keefe's interview after the game in Carolina, and he talked about how good his team played, and that Carolina's a real good team and they played really well, but. But they didn't play well enough to win. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. No, I didn't think you played that well at all. I thought you lost a lot of one-on-one battles. You lost a lot of puck battles, and you gave up a lot of good scoring chances. But, again, it wasn't as bad as Pittsburgh. I guess that's maybe what he was alluding to.
Yeah.
Well, you can't get much worse than that, can you? 7-1, 4-1. Well, what's the difference? 3 goals? Like, okay, but yeah, they gotta win these next 2 games. Chicago, Detroit. Those are must-win games for them. Otherwise, if they think it's bad now, it's going to get a whole lot worse if they don't win these 2 games.
Well, just to take this adversity a step further, I actually looked the proper meaning of the word up, and there are 6 types of adversity in this world. So let's see if we can ease the burden with some of the solutions. So one is physical adversity. We'll hit someone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 2 is mental. Well, score a goal, you'll feel great. 3 is emotional. Score a goal and fist pump or yell at somebody. Number 4 is social. Well, don't go on it until you're winning. Number 5 is spiritual. Maybe we'll bring the chum witch back from the 60s. Now, those too young to understand, she used to put hexes on teams for the Leafs. So maybe that could be our spiritual leader. And 6 is financial. Well, according to media, you don't need any help there. Guess what?
No. Well,
in summary, adversity is a cute way of saying you're playing like crap. Solution, play better.
Yeah, 100%, Mike. You're absolutely right. It is. Adversity is you're not playing well. Play better and start winning, and that's plain and simple. And that'll, winning cures everything. Unfortunately, it's amazing, but you win 3 or 4 in a row, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, these guys are unbelievable. They're worth every penny they make, and it's like it just changes. It's a vicious circle, and all the only thing that changes it is winning or losing. Doesn't matter how you play. Well, it does, I guess. If you play well, you're going to win more games than you're going to lose, I guess. But at the end of the day, it's all about winning and losing. You win 4 or 5 in a row, and all of a sudden you're at the top of the mountain and everybody loves you. You lose 4 or 5 in a row, and then it's the opposite. So play better, win, and then you don't have to worry about anybody saying anything negative about you.
And that's amen. Well, Squid, I know your favorite time of the show is the quote of the week. Now, so today's quote is going to address adversity. And we're going to send this message to all the Maple Leaf players. So here we go. There will be obstacles. There will be doubters. There will be mistakes. But with hard work, there are no limits.
Mm-hmm. I like that because nothing beats hard work. I've said it a million times, I think, in my lifetime that, you've seen teams that are not as good as other teams. They have better players. They have superstars and that sort of thing. But these teams come in and they're not quite as good on paper, but they work their tails off. Well, look at Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Let's just take that game for an example. They're missing Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Jeff Carter, and Brian Rust. And they go out and they beat the Leafs 7-1. Well, that's overcoming adversity right there. They outworked Toronto. They won the one-on-one battles, and they won the hockey game. So basically, that's all you got to do. Go out and work your damn tail off and hope that at the end of the night, you're ahead on the scoreboard.
And it's never too soon to start, and hopefully a couple hours from now we'll see that result come in our favor. So that's all for today.
It's a good start tonight with everything that's going on in Chicago because, they're becoming a little unraveled. But again, don't come in there thinking that because Kane might not be playing. I know Taves and Sod are definitely
Yeah,
not playing
I'd
with
rather
all
they
the
played.
stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Don't go in there thinking that it's going to be an easy night. Go in there thinking that this is going to be the hardest game we're going to play all year long, and go out and use that as to your advantage and go out and play that way.
Well, think about it. With Stan Bowman out, there's a new boss coming in, and a new boss likes to make changes with his people.
Mm-hmm.
You better be working. That like to
Yeah.
me, you're on audition, so this makes it even worse. So the Leafs will be
Yeah.
prepared tonight. I like them tonight. Now we like them every night, but what's the difference? So we like them tonight. Now that's all for today. Next week, same time, same place. Hopefully, a few wins for the good guys in between now and then. Now, don't forget to tune into our weekly podcast, Squid and the Ultimate Leafs Fan. We have a beauty for you this week. So good, in fact, we
Oh
made it
boy.
into a two-parter featuring one of the most popular Maple Leafs of all time, Tiger Williams. He's truly an original, isn't he, Squid?
And he doesn't hold anything back either, Mike.
He doesn't. Well, I mean, for you folks out there, we recorded this the other day, and we talked to Tiger for 2 hours. I talked to him for almost an hour after.
Yeah.
He just doesn't
It's
stop.
crazy.
And he would still be going, but you just gotta love the guy. He's full of stories. He says it like it is, and he gave Squid a couple of good comments too, which you got to listen to hear. So it was all worth a listen. The show drops Friday at 6. Tune in on YouTube, all your podcast networks. You can get that one. And until next week, enjoy the games, everyone, and we'll talk to you then.